Okay, good morning and welcome to our first video with multi-step equations. And so there'll be more. The multi-step equations we're going to talk about today might be two-step, three-step, and so on. But notice that when we look at these, all of our variables are on one side of the equation. We will get to equations that have them on both, but this is part one. Okay, let's start with a two-step equation. So if you have 2x plus 27 equal negative 17, the goal is to figure out the value of x and get x by itself. Okay, so you want to imagine that everybody wants to get away from x. All the numbers want to be on the other side of the equal sign. So negative 17 is already away from x, but 2 and 27 need to get away. Now, I want to remind you that we are going to do the opposite of PEMDAS. We're trying to do it backwards. We're trying to undo the add and subtract first, then the multiply and divide, and eventually we're going to talk about parentheses and exponents as well. So in this case, if you look at the 2 and the 27, the first thing we're going to undo is the addition. So the opposite of adding 27 would be to subtract it. So we're going to subtract it here and subtract it on the other side as well. Okay, so be careful when you do this. So 2x is going to come down. The mistake that a lot of students do is that negative 17 minus 27 more, especially if they're using a calculator, they will type it in like this. They'll say negative 17 minus negative 27. Notice on here, 1, 2, 3 minus or negative signs. But on your paper, there's only 2. So don't make that mistake. So when you type that in, if you're using a calculator, you want to make sure there's 1 in front and 1 in the middle here. And that will give you your answer of negative 44 on this side. But that's not our final answer, okay? So we also have to get the 2 out of this side. So we got to undo what's there. Well, there's a hidden times sign. So the opposite of timesing by 2 would be to divide by 2 on this side, divide by 2 on this side, and you get x equal negative 22 for your first answer. Okay, so that's the most basic. That's really a two-step equation because the first step was to subtract 27 and the second step was to divide by 2. The next one, you take a look at this and notice that there are 2 places where there's a variable. So if that's the case, on any side, you want to combine like terms first. Our goal is before we start really undoing stuff, it's got to have only 1, 2, 3 terms like there are up here. But you look here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, right? So the idea on this one is to combine what you can. So 5x can combine with positive 2x. So 5x plus 2x is really 7x. Then you want to bring down plus 2 because you haven't used it, equal negative 12. And now you have 1, 2, 3 terms. That's what you wanted. And you want all the numbers to get away from x, right? So negative 12 is already away. And so if you imagine that x is somebody that, all these are people, right? 7 is a person, x is a person, and 2 is a person. X kind of has a hold of 7. So the first person that's going to be able to get out is this 2. To get them out, you got to do the opposite. So the opposite of plus 2 is minus 2. And you want a minus 2 on this side. So bring down 7x. And now we have that same situation again where we have negative 12 minus 2. You don't want to make that mistake in your calculator of putting too many. So you should get negative 14 here, 7x now. To undo that, this is 7 times x. So to undo that, we're going to divide by 7 over here, and we get x equal negative 2 this time. All right, what about if it's facing the opposite direction? So in this case, right, if you look at it, we only have 1 term on the left side of the equal sign, and we have 3 over here. Well, first of all, since there's more than 3 terms total, we know we have to combine like terms in some way. So this time we're going to combine them not on the left side, but on the right side. And we also have to pay very close attention. So our like terms are 6x And now we're going to subtract 4x because the minus sign in front of the 4 goes with it. So 6x minus 4x will give us positive 2x. That's gone. Now we're going to bring down minus 13 here. Oops, forgot the 1. And our equal sign and our negative 49 on this side. And so now we have the same situation, it's just the opposite direction. So everybody wants to get away from that x and get on the other side of the equal sign. So negative 49 is already there. And we got to undo the 2 and the minus 13. Okay, again, x has a hold of that too. So the first one to get out is going to be minus 13. Also, that's the first set in the undoing PEMDAS, right? If you're going to go backwards, add and subtract is first. So the opposite of minus 13 is to add 13. All right, add it out here in the safety zone. Okay, so negative 49 plus 13. All right, you don't want to put too many negatives and plus signs in there. Oops, I should show you that on my calculator if you're using a calculator. Negative 49 plus 13. If you owe someone $49 and you pay them 13 off, you still owe them 36. So you have negative 36 on this side. Ooh, and I'm getting jammed up here. Equals, and 2x comes down. I'm going to rewrite that over here so we can see it a little bit better. I'm just rewriting what I had here, right here. Okay, the last thing we need to do is we need to undo the operation with the 2 to get that out. So this is 2 times x. So to undo that, we will divide by 2 here. Boop. Divide by 2 on the other side. And negative 36 divided by 2 is going to give us negative 18 and our equal sign and x. And so it's just written backwards, but that's okay. It means the same thing. If you were to rewrite it like this, same exact answer. Okay, our last one on our warm-up here today for the first part of multi-step equations is what happens when you do have parentheses in here. Normally, when we're doing PEMDAS, right, parentheses is first in that we want to do what's inside them first. Well, when we're solving equations and we're trying to figure out what the value of x is, we want to get rid of parentheses first by using the distributive property, okay? So we want to distribute by multiplying. We're going to do negative 3 and we're going to times it by 1x, okay? So negative 3 times 1x is negative 3x. That's our first step in distributing. Then we're going to times the negative 3 by positive 2. So negative 3 times positive 2 is negative 6. And we're going to write it down as a minus 6 here because we don't want to have too many minus and negatives because we're going to break it apart anyway. Equals 6. Okay, now we're going to look at it. We're like, okay, we have 3 terms here right away. So we don't have to add like terms. And we are going to undo what we have there, okay? And so if you take a look at this, right, x is on this side, meaning we're trying to get the negative 3 over to the other side and also this negative 6. And so we're going to start with the x has a hold of that negative 3. So the first one to get out is going to be that minus 6. So the opposite would be to add 6. We're going to add 6 over here. So we bring down negative 3x. 6 plus 6 is 12. And then we're going to get this negative 3 out. But remember, this means negative 3. There's a hidden times sign in there, times x. So we're going to undo the times sign. So to undo times, we're going to divide, and we're going to take that negative with us. So we're going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3 over here, and we finally get x equal negative 4. Okay, so this is the first part of our multi-step equations. If you have me for class, your assignment is on the other side of our opener here, and it's practicing with them, okay? So there are 15 questions on this side. Some of them are adding like terms. Some of them have the parentheses in them. And so your job is to complete that paper. If you have questions, please feel free to come see me or email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great day.